Hey everybody, Dave Neal here, stand-up comic host of Bachelor Recap, a guy's review. Trigger warning, this video, which you probably saw from the title, we are talking about miscarriages and maternity leave with regards to where we stand in the U.S. versus other first world countries. It was reported today, New Zealand approves paid leave for miscarriages and stillbirths for all women and their partners. And we're going to talk a little bit about Bachelor Nation, some of the contestants that have revealed the miscarriages their family has suffered. And a lot of people are going to wonder, hey, Dave, why do we need to listen to some flanneled white dude, talk about miscarriage? Well, here's how I'm looking at things right now. When it comes to a lot of systemic issues that we've had in our country, they've been built by people that look like me, and it's important for people who look like me to have the discussion. And that's one of the bigger problems with miscarriages is the stigma attached to talking about it. I myself don't get invited to conversations where this is the focal point, and I understand that, and I respect that. But if people do want to talk about it, they shouldn't feel a stigma to think in some way they failed, their bodies failed them, or they're in some sort of minority group here. The odds that people are going to have a miscarriage in their life, families, partners, husbands, and wives that are trying to have a baby, it's a very, very high chance, and it's something that is just not nearly talked about enough. So to hear that New Zealand is going to be apparently the first country to offer paid leave for miscarriages and stillbirths is a huge leap for New Zealand and for equality, and it's also shows the glaring issue we have within our country, United States of America, when it comes to providing for our people in times of need. So you don't have to look far to hear some of the real gut-wrenching stories from Bachelor Nation when it comes to miscarriages. But it really is something that has gained more steam as far as the conversation that can happen. This, a couple years ago, they say, oh, you got to wait till X amount of weeks before you announce your pregnancy because, and I understand the idea behind it. Like, God forbid if you announce you're pregnant to the world and then you're only 6 weeks in, and then on the 8th week you have a, devastating news. I understand how hard that must be to have to tell everybody that. But I think what's happening is it's sort of forced people to stigmatize. All right, it's not safe to talk about things. No. So within Bachelor Nation, you've got Arie and Lauren have talked about miscarriages they've suffered, and they've made vlogs about it. And, they've really, love Arie or hate Arie from the show. He and Lauren have done a really good job of putting themselves out there on their vlog and showing their life from miscarriage, heartbreak, to also finding out they're having twins. If you can watch that video and not cry, I mean, when you find out they're having twins, it's just a human reaction, guys. It's a human reaction. We have Bachelor Alum Ashley Spivey reveals she suffered a pregnancy loss. I couldn't protect him. So the guilt that people feel, probably in part from the stigma to not talk about these things. When you talk about things, you lift the burden off your shoulder. You shine light into dark areas. You realize you're not alone. So while we've been so lucky to have the Me Too movement and other movements where they get the conversation going, it is shocking that the U.S. is so far behind in how we talk about things, basically women's blood. That's what it comes down to. Periods. When I grew up, you'd see the girls huddled around the corner in 9th grade. You go, oh, so-and-so got her period. Oh my gosh, can you believe this? And the guys be like, what are you guys talking about? Like, we didn't know. We didn't have the health care that really kind of explained these things and normalized it. Oh, so-and-so needs a tampon. Okay, cool. All right, no big deal. Normalizing things is about having conversations productively from a normal age. I mean, I sound crazy even talking about this, but you just hear the whispers. Oh my gosh, hide it. You gotta hide it. You gotta hide the tampon in that sweatshirt. Now tie that sweatshirt around your waist and walk around gym class. No one can know. And it's like, and obviously boys can be cruel, but when you educate each other, you can take away some of the fear behind why people are so cruel. Chrissy Teigen talked about the depression hole she had weeks after the pregnancy loss. So you are seeing the conversation open up. And I think what you're learning is the more comfortable celebrities and people with platform are talking about their loss, the more normalized it can become to talk about it in a way that can help you grieve. both for potential husband and wife. Not just, it's like the husband and the father, deserves a spot in the conversation to help mourn, to understand like, oh, I don't want, for a guy to think that it's not his place to talk about it, tells the potential mother, I don't care about your feelings going through your loss. And I say this with caution and respect to those that have suffered from miscarriage, from those that, I say this with all respect. If you personally don't want to share your story, absolutely. But I don't want it to be because of a stigma that still exists in 2021. So the New Zealand Parliament, where's the title there? New Zealand approves paid leave after miscarriages. They're just farther ahead than us. They're putting their money into places that help their people out more so than we are. That's a fact. New Zealand's Parliament voted unanimously on Wednesday to allow mothers and their partners 3 days of paid bereavement leave after a miscarriage or stillbirth. Which 3 days, is that even a lot? I don't know, guys. But it's their logistical way of saying you're not sick. This isn't a sick leave. This is a leave of loss. So words do have power when it comes to things like this. While employers in the country were already required to provide paid leave in the event of stillbirth, there was some confusion surrounding the qualifications. The groundbreaking new bill removes any ambiguity, extending benefits to anyone who loses a pregnancy at any point. Because that's like insurance companies. I don't know if other countries with their healthcare for all, go ahead, rub it in, have to deal with this. But with insurance companies here, if there's a loophole that can be exploited, there are people that are paid good money in insurance companies. Trust me, I had a 4-year-long lawsuit that I won after I was run into, with video evidence, in a car accident. I'll show you guys someday. Put my Jeep on 2 wheels, So even, these insurance companies, the big money that's out there, if the wording's not right, they will take advantage of you. They are more powerful than you. They have a huge vested interest in not giving away money. Previously, grieving couples had to use sick leave when dealing with the end of a pregnancy. So this is good. This is good news. This is really good news. Again, not good news for our country. Countries around the world beat the U.S. on paid parental leave. Oh, and boy, this is going to trigger some people. Ooh, boy, how can we afford that? We can't afford that right now. I don't know, build one less missile head. You know what I mean? What are you talking about? Out of 193 countries in the United Nations, only a small handful do not have a national paid parental leave law. New Guinea, Suriname, I don't even know how to pronounce that, a few South Pacific islands in the great country of the United States of America. Now listen, I usually hit this button when I want to be proud to be an American, and I'm not saying that I'm not proud to be an American, but I am proud at my God-given platform to talk about where we have fallen short, and it's providing parental leave after pregnancy and after loss of pregnancy. We need to learn that we can do better and provide for our people the way we provide for big business, for the top 1%, for the billionaires. Why don't we look in the mirror and understand we are the greatest, wealthiest nation in the world, and we're not using that equity to benefit our wives, our moms, our daughters, all the ladies in our life, and for you too, sir. You deserve to enjoy time with your newborn child. You deserve to bereave with your wife. So not only do we need to understand we're not where we need to be, we need to do better. We need to have this conversation. And I'm sorry if I gotta pull the national anthem button, but once in a while you gotta pull that national anthem button and say we are just not where we need to be, and I'm not ready to hear excuses for why not. Posted this yesterday. I made a video about Kylie Jenner a couple days ago. Kylie Jenner donated $5,000 towards a GoFundMe account for a makeup artist that she used to work with several years earlier. He needed medical bills paid. So she donated to it. She did a swipe up feature and she ended up raising him over $100,000. She received a ton of criticism for only donating $5,000, and I thought that this would be fun. A nice snarky comment. Imagine if we pooled together everyone's GoFundMe medical costs and we equally paid for them with a percentage of our own income, like a tax, to cover medical care for all. Wonder if anyone has ever tried that, and then people immediately, well, Dave, if you get rid of competition, you're going to have... Oh, shut it. There's ways to make this happen, folks. It's a shame we're not doing it. It's a shame we're not voting on whether or not we should have Medicare for all. We should know which of our senators and congressmen don't want this, and we should vote them out of office. There's no reason, our country, and again, this does have to do with miscarriaging. This does have to do with maternity leave. Our country, we pay the money. I had to get stitches over the summer. I made a vlog about it, and I had to go pay cash because it was cheaper to pay cash. And I learned, just don't go to an emergency room. You walk into the emergency room, it was $12,000. Well, I ended up paying $350 because I got it done at an urgent care. I shouldn't have to Google, do I need stitches? Because if you ever Google, do I need stitches with one hand as your other hand's held up because you got to keep it above your heart, we shouldn't have to be WebMD, okay? It's just ridiculous, this scenario and situation we've got ourselves into in our country. And people will comment, well, the Canadians don't like their health care paid for by insurance companies. It's all manipulation. It's all manipulation. We need the help, guys. So this story was posted in this New Zealand unanimously approving paid leave after miscarriage was posted in World News. You know me, love to check my Bachelor subreddits and World News. So I'll just read this first comment because I like to read the comments that go viral. This one went viral. To provide some context for why this is necessary, I had 2 losses while working. I'm a teacher. One loss was early. But to make a long story short, I was miscarrying for longer than I was ever pregnant and needed surgery at the end. I had a total of 7 days of off work. And that was medical leave. During this protracted time, I had to go to an overnight camp for 4 days in the mountains with my school. I was bleeding the whole time. It was horrible. I had to care for 18 children who I loved while losing my own. A few years and a healthy baby later, I had a 23-week stillbirth, right on the cutoff between miscarriage and stillbirth in my country. I was entitled to full maternity leave, 16 weeks in my country, and the time was so healing, both physically and mentally. I was so grateful for the time and remember it as a time of sadness, grief, but also of healing and gratitude. Well, folks, I mean, look, we live in a world which has been proven by the last year with people working from home that we don't need the 40-hour work week. We don't, with technology. I mean, how many people, leave a comment, how many people are watching this video right now from your office that you're required to be at, even though you could do 40 hours worth of work in 6 or 7 hours? We live in a time of, so many things are automated and so much of our profits are there regardless of how many hours we log, that it's crazy to think we can't, when it comes to automation, when it comes to will we be going towards a universal basic income, we don't need to work as much as we might have needed to do generations ago. And to think that people are obligated to show back up for work after a miscarriage because of semantics, because, well, you didn't, whatever. It's just wrong. It's a stigma, a mark of disgrace associated with a particular circumstance, quality, or person. And the stigma and the shame just needs to go away. Breaking the taboo of miscarriage. We'll talk about this. We'll get out of here. There's a taboo around women's bodies. There's a taboo around women's bleeding. People don't want to know, said Julia Bueno, a London-based psychotherapist and author of On the Brink of Being, talking about miscarriage. It has taken a woefully long time for miscarriage to be taken seriously by the medical profession. In the absence of knowledge and data, Bueno noted, women in their desperation for an explanation will find reasons to blame themselves. They'll say, oh, I shouldn't have had that cup of coffee. The void creates a strong pull to blame oneself. Campbell has done all the research. Frankly, she's exhausted. I'm like, test everything. Here's my blood. You want my husband to be tested for something? I'll bring him in. Give me something. You just walk out with statistics. That doesn't do anything for me in my personal journey. Why did Nikia have these miscarriages? What are my answers? The devastating psychological effects. The other thing we know for sure about miscarriage is that it can have devastating psychological effects. A recent study published earlier this year that found that 29% of women suffered from PTSD after miscarriage. 24% had anxiety and 11% experienced moderate to severe depression. Women need to talk about the profound nature of our loss. Research is now backing up what we all know. Grief is the price of a love. And I'll just say this. No obligation to talk to your man. No obligation to talk to your guys in your life, your dad. But we need to let you know that we are there. We are there to listen. And if we're not all there, I think we'll get there. I think we'll get to a place where men start to learn the complexities. I deal with this with my fiance, right? Tosh will tell you through the podcast we do, this app, we talk all the time about it, with her Lyme disease and other sort of hormonal challenges she's so openly talked about. It's a complicated thing. And most doctors, they'll say, hey, try this birth control. Come back in 2 years, see how it goes. And again, I'm not here to slam doctors, but they're overworked. They have too many patients and they don't listen. The death rate of black women that give birth is like third world country levels in our country. That shouldn't exist in 2021. So anyway, after the unanimous vote, let's see, the grief that comes with miscarriage is not a sickness, it's a loss, and that loss takes time to recover physically and time to recover mentally. In celebrating the bill's passage, Anderson, a member of the Labour Party, tweeted that she was proud to have made a change for good. Barbara Kuriger, a member of the National Party, said about 20,000 women in New Zealand each year have a miscarriage or stillbirth. This is something that many women would be going through every day. Imagine the quality of work. I'll just say this. Whew, it's a heavy one, folks. Get your coffee out. Imagine the quality of your employment if you know that you're covered, even if you will be lucky enough to never need it. Imagine living in a country where people have talked about this on that Instagram that I made. People have talked about the fact that they moved back to Canada and they realized, oh, I don't have to worry about going skiing and potentially going bankrupt because I have a bone fracture, things like that. I've got healthcare, but it's like not a good healthcare, The birth rates are going down for my generation because we're not making enough money for the economics of having kids. So we're not taking care of our middle class. We're not taking care of of the ladies in our life and of young families. My brother's having a baby in a couple weeks. It could be any day now. I'm so excited to become an uncle again. And I think about my brother and whether or not he'll get more than a day or two off work. And thinking about that important bond that's going to exist between him as a father to his firstborn. And to think of all the scenarios in which no one got that chance. And you can never go back on it. My mom raised me as a single mom, and my father wasn't a part of my life growing up. And to think that my mom had to go work in sales, a commission-based job where she was on the road with nothing but a pager and a phone book, and to think that we had to grow up with a lot of babysitters, a lot of other people helping us out, because my mom had to provide in a way that was asking a lot for a single mom, and she did great. But that shouldn't have to be. She shouldn't have to be the standard. You know what I mean? Anyway, let me know what you guys think about this. I know it's a sensitive topic, so I appreciate everyone just giving it the sensitive love and respect that's out there. When it comes to Bachelor Nation news, a lot of times, I personally enjoy when we're having the conversation that is fun and irreverent. That's what I like to talk about. But I also think it's important to not let stories like this go unnoticed when it comes to what New Zealand is doing, what our country isn't. I also just want to end this. I like to cover all points. That way, in the comments section, there's less hate. But for people that say, "Well, Dave, if you don't like it, move to another place that does it better." We are so far behind, but I don't think our collective viewpoints are based off of research and knowledge. I think it's based off of propaganda and insurance, and big insurance companies, big pharma, being tied into the electoral system, being tied into candidates. And I think it's hard for us to elect people that have our points of views when so much money is thrown at electing people that have the insurance companies in their back pocket. This is not a left or a right issue. This is a when will we get control back and do what is right for us. We spend more money on healthcare than other major first world countries, even though we don't have it provided in a Medicare for all way. When we have an issue, we go bankrupt. We go for GoFundMe. We have to publicly crowdsource our pain in dark moments. This shouldn't have to happen. New Zealand is proving that it doesn't. Leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think. We'll see you later on. Live stream today, 4 p.m. Pacific time. Thanks, guys. Bye now.